Before we begin, I need you to stop scrolling and listen carefully. This message did not appear before you by accident. If these words found you today, believe with all your heart that there may be a reason heaven led you here. Sometimes God whispers, sometimes He redirects, and sometimes He sends a warning wrapped in mercy. Today may be one of those moments. If you believe God brought you here today, write, Amen, beloved. Do not skip this message. There are seasons when life feels ordinary on the outside, but something unseen is shifting in the spirit. Many people ignore these moments because they look small, but God often announces major changes through subtle signs. If your heart has been restless, if doors have been closing unexpectedly, if you have felt a strange pull to pray, reflect, or seek answers, stay with this message until the end. Today, we are going to hear a powerful message from God. For those who feel something changing around them, but cannot yet explain it. This is not a message of fear, but of preparation, awareness, and hope. Now open your heart and listen. My child, I know the questions you have been carrying. I know the silent battles you do not speak about. I know the nights you smiled in front of others, while your heart carried hidden burdens. Nothing about your pain has been invisible to me. Nothing about your struggle has escaped my sight. You have been asking me for confirmation. You have been praying for clarity. You have been wondering why certain things feel different lately, why your spirit feels unsettled, why some relationships feel distant, why some doors that once seemed open now appear closed. Hear me clearly today. Do not ignore this sign. Something is coming, but before fear tries to enter your mind, understand what I mean. Not everything that approaches your life is meant to destroy you. Some things come to awaken you. Some things come to reposition you. Some things come to remove what no longer belongs in your journey and prepare you for what I have already planned. Too often you interpret change as danger, when sometimes change is my invitation. I have been speaking to you in ways you almost overlooked. Through delays that protected you, through disappointments that redirected you, through discomfort that refused to let you remain where you had outgrown. You asked why things suddenly shifted. You asked why certain plans stalled. You asked why some people changed. My child, not every closed door is rejection. Sometimes it is rescue. You are entering a season where discernment matters more than comfort. You cannot move through this next chapter asleep to what is happening around you. This is why your spirit has been stirring. This is why you feel that something is changing. If this message spoke directly to your heart, comment, God is speaking to me. Because it is. The signs are not there to frighten you. They are there to awaken you. There are battles you cannot see with natural eyes. There are assignments, opportunities, and spiritual crossroads ahead of you that require wisdom and readiness. This is why I am calling you closer, not later, now. Some of you listening have been ignoring gentle convictions inside your heart. You felt me urging you to pray more, but you postponed it. You felt me asking you to let go of unhealthy attachments, but you held on. You felt me warning you about certain environments, certain habits, or certain voices influencing your spirit, but you convinced yourself it was nothing. My child, pay attention. The enemy often attacks distracted hearts. He loves noise, confusion, and spiritual sleep. But I am calling you into awareness. Do not become so comfortable with routine that you miss revelation. Do not become so busy surviving that you forget to seek my voice. Because something is coming, and those who remain close to me will not be caught unprepared. This is not a threat, it is mercy. Father, your word says, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things, which thou knowest not." Jeremiah 33:3, that promise still stands today. I am not hiding from you, I am calling you. There are things you cannot understand by human reasoning alone. This is why overthinking has exhausted you. You tried to solve spiritual battles using only natural understanding. You tried to force clarity without first seeking my presence. What part of this message touched you the most? Share below. But answers become clearer when hearts draw closer to me. Listen carefully. The sign you have been waiting for may not look the way you expected. Sometimes my sign is peace, leaving a place where you no longer belong. Sometimes my sign is discomfort that refuses to disappear. Sometimes my sign is repeated confirmation through circumstances, conviction, and divine timing. And sometimes my sign is this very message. My child, if you are hearing these words today, slow down and listen carefully. You have been sensing that something is changing, and you were not imagining it. The atmosphere around your life has been shifting. The things that once satisfied you no longer feel the same. Conversations that once felt natural now leave your spirit unsettled. Places that once gave comfort now feel strangely empty. You wondered if something was wrong with you. But hear me. What you are feeling is not always confusion. Sometimes it is awakening. You have entered a season where your spirit can no longer be fed by what once distracted you. You are beginning to notice what you previously ignored. You are becoming sensitive to what drains your peace, what weakens your faith, and what pulls your focus away from my presence. Do not ignore this sign. Something is coming. And because something is coming, preparation must begin now. Many people wait until storms arrive before they seek shelter. They wait until pain overwhelms them before they pray. They wait until everything collapses before they seek wisdom. But my desire for you has never been panic. If you are trusting God during a difficult season, write, "I trust. Why owe you, God?" My desire is preparation. I do not warn to terrify. I warn to protect. I do not expose danger to make you afraid. I reveal what matters so you may walk wisely. There are moments in life when people focus only on visible circumstances while ignoring spiritual realities. They pay attention to headlines but ignore their own hearts. They analyze the actions of others while neglecting the condition of their spirit. They seek signs everywhere except in prayer. But I am calling you deeper, because what is coming into your life cannot be handled by fear, pride, distraction, or spiritual sleep. It requires closeness. It requires discernment. It requires trust. Some of you listening have been feeling pressure from every side. One battle ended and another appeared. You prayed for relief, but instead faced delays. You expected answers, but encountered silence. There were moments you almost gave up trying to understand why life felt so heavy, and quietly, without telling anyone, you wondered something painful. God, where are you? My child, I was there. I was there in the disappointment. I was there in the unanswered questions. I was there when you cried without words. I was there when nobody noticed your pain. I was there when your faith felt weak, and I am here now. Do not measure my presence only by comfort. Sometimes I am working most deeply in seasons that feel uncertain. You wanted immediate understanding, but some truths unfold through time. You wanted the entire map, but often I reveal the next step before the full destination. And still, even through confusion, I have not left you. There are things happening behind the scenes that you cannot yet see. Certain doors are closing because they cannot go where I am leading you. Certain attachments are weakening because they cannot survive the next chapter. Certain delays have protected you from decisions that would have wounded your future. Comment your prayer request below so we can pray together. You called some seasons failure, but heaven called them protection. You called some endings loss, but heaven called them repositioning. Do not be too quick to mourn what I removed. Not everything that leaves your life is meant to stay. This is difficult for many people to understand, because human hearts naturally cling to familiarity. Even when something becomes unhealthy, familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar growth. But I did not create you merely to survive in cycles that keep you small. I created you for purpose, and purpose requires movement. This is why resistance has increased, because transition is near. The enemy often becomes louder when movement begins. Confusion increases. Discouragement grows. Old temptations return. Doubt whispers more aggressively. Suddenly your mind feels crowded with fear and second-guessing. Pay attention. Not every voice deserves your agreement. Some voices speak life. Others only magnify fear. You must learn the difference. There are people who speak from wisdom and love, but there are also voices shaped by bitterness, jealousy, insecurity, and unbelief. If you are not careful, you will allow the fears of others to become the limits of your own faith. If you believe something is shifting in your life, type "My breakthrough is coming." My child, protect your ears. Protect your spirit. Protect your spirit. Protect what I am building inside you, because something is coming, and you cannot carry unnecessary noise into this next season. Some of you have been asking why you suddenly feel distant from certain people. You miss the old closeness. You wonder why conversations feel forced or why relationships seem strained. Listen carefully. Not every separation is punishment. Sometimes separation is preparation. Sometimes I create distance so you can hear me more clearly. Sometimes growth changes compatibility. And sometimes people who were assigned to one chapter were never assigned to the next. Do not harden your heart. Do not become bitter. But also do not force what I am allowing to change. You cannot hold tightly to every season and still move forward freely. There are moments when love means blessing people and continuing your journey with peace. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. Because where I am taking you requires open hands and a willing heart. Father, your word says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding." Proverbs 3, chapter verse 5, that instruction matters now more than ever. Because understanding may not come first, trust often comes first. And trust is difficult when circumstances appear uncertain. I know you have grown tired. I know you have grown cautious after disappointment. You gave your energy to people who misunderstood you. You carried burdens longer than you should have. You kept trying to fix situations that only I could heal. And now your heart feels weary. But hear me carefully. Weariness does not mean defeat. You are not defeated. You are being refined. Gold does not become pure without heat. Faith does not become strong without testing. Character does not deepen without challenge. The process has felt uncomfortable because growth rarely feels convenient. Where are you watching from today? Let us know in the comments. Yet even now, I am strengthening what weakness tried to destroy. You have survived battles that once looked impossible. Do not forget that. You have overcome nights you thought would break you. Do not forget that. You have carried pain and still continued forward. Do not forget that. The same God who carried you through previous storms has not changed. I am still faithful. I am still near, and I am still working. Do not let temporary emotions convince you that permanent hope has disappeared. Feelings shift. Circumstances change. But my presence remains. Some of you have become discouraged because progress seems slow. You expected your prayers to produce immediate visible results. Instead, you found yourself waiting. Waiting can feel uncomfortable. Waiting can test patience. Waiting can make people question what they once believed. But understand this, waiting is not always inactivity. There are seasons when roots grow before fruit appears. The tree does not become strong because of visible branches alone. Strength forms beneath the surface where nobody applauds and few people notice. And many of you are in that hidden season. You want visible proof, but I am developing invisible strength. Do not despise hidden growth, because what develops in secret often sustains what becomes public. Delay, because what develops in secret often sustains what becomes public. There are blessings people admire but do not understand. They celebrate outcomes without seeing preparation. They praise victories without witnessing sacrifice. They want harvest without respecting process. If you refuse to give up on God's plan for your life, right, I will not give you up. But I have been preparing you. Even when you felt forgotten, even when progress looked slow, even when answers seemed delayed, preparation was happening. And because preparation is happening, your response matters. This is not the season to abandon prayer. This is not the season to numb your spirit with distraction. This is not the season to settle for spiritual laziness. Wake up, return to the place of prayer. Return to honesty before me. Return to stillness. Some of you have filled every quiet moment with noise because silence makes you uncomfortable. Yet it is often in stillness that my direction becomes clearer. Slow down. Listen. Pay attention. The world teaches urgency without wisdom. but I teach peace with discernment. Do not rush into decisions driven by pressure. Do not move simply because others are moving. Do not compare your timeline to people who do not carry your assignment. Comparison steals gratitude and clouds vision. Your journey is not identical to theirs. Your timing is not identical to theirs. Your calling is not identical to theirs. So stop measuring your value against someone else's pace. I have not forgotten your story. I have not misplaced your prayers. I have not ignored your tears. What I promised will unfold according to my wisdom, not human pressure. Comment one word that describes what you need from God today. And still I say again, Isalcum li nenna, do not ignore this sign. Something is coming. For some of you it will be a turning point. For some it will be exposure of what was hidden. For some it will be unexpected opportunity. For others it will be necessary correction. But whatever comes, I do not call you to fear. I call you to readiness. Readiness is not panic. Readiness is alignment. It is a heart willing to listen. It is a spirit willing to obey. It is faith willing to move when direction becomes clear. Many people want miracles while resisting transformation. They want new outcomes while protecting old patterns. They ask for breakthrough but cling to habits that sabotage peace. My child, breakthrough and surrender walk together. Ask yourself honestly, what have I been avoiding? What conviction have I ignored? What fear has controlled my decisions? What burden was never mine for me to carry? Do not ask these questions to condemn yourself. Ask them to awaken, because awakening precedes movement. And movement is approaching. You have sensed it already. That is why restlessness increased. That is why old distractions lost power. That is why ordinary routine suddenly felt insufficient. Your spirit recognized transition before your mind understood it. And now I am confirming what your heart has been sensing. Something is coming. Stay close to me. Do not allow anxiety to become your guide. Do not allow fear to write your story before faith speaks. There is wisdom available. There is direction available. There is peace available. But you must remain connected to me to receive it. This next chapter cannot be navigated by pride. It cannot be sustained by appearances. It cannot be carried through performance alone. It requires authenticity. Bring me your honest fears. Bring me your uncertainty. Bring me your weakness. You do not have to pretend strength before me. If you are praying for peace, healing, or restoration, write, Lord, have Eve your way. I already know where you hurt, and I already know the future beyond what you currently see. So do not panic over incomplete understanding. Trust me enough to walk one faithful step at a time, because what is approaching is not outside my authority. I am still God over what you understand and what you do not. And this message is not ending here. My child, there is something I need you to understand before you move further. Not every battle you are facing is meant to stop you. Some battles reveal you. Some battles expose what still needs healing. Some battles teach discernment. And some battles become the very testimony that reminds you of my power. You have spent too much time believing that difficulty automatically means abandonment. When pressure increased, you assumed I had stepped away. When prayers seemed delayed, you questioned whether heaven still heard your voice. But listen carefully. Silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. And struggle is not proof that I have forgotten you. There are moments when seeds remain hidden beneath the soil. To naturalize, nothing appears to be happening. The ground looks unchanged. Days pass, weeks pass. Yet beneath the surface, growth is already beginning. That hidden process matters, because visible fruit depends upon invisible preparation. And many of you listening are standing inside a hidden season. You became discouraged because you compared your behind-the-scenes process to someone else's visible results. You watched others celebrate achievements while your own prayers seemed unfinished. Quietly, disappointment entered your heart. What sign or confirmation have you been asking God for lately? You wondered, God, am I behind? My child, hear me. You are not behind my timing. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. Human clocks create pressure, but my timing creates purpose. The danger of comparison is that it convinces people to leave their own assignment chasing someone else's path. They begin forcing doors I never opened. They make decisions driven by insecurity rather than wisdom. They sacrifice peace trying to prove worth that never needed proving. Do not do this. The pressure to rush does not come from me. I do not lead through panic. I lead through peace and wisdom. This is why you must slow your spirit enough to hear me, because something is coming. And when transition approaches, distractions often multiply. Have you noticed it? The sudden mental noise, the increased discouragement, the saneness, the unnecessary conflicts, the strange heaviness trying to settle over your thoughts. This is not coincidence. When movement is near, opposition frequently becomes louder. The enemy understands what many people forget. He knows that distracted hearts struggle to hear direction. He knows that exhausted minds become vulnerable to fear. He knows that wounded people often question their value. And so he whispers lies. You are too broken. You missed your chance. You are unworthy. You will never change. These prayers are pointless. But my child, lies only gain power when believed. And today I need you to reject what fear has been repeating. You are not defined by your lowest moment. You are not trapped by your previous mistakes. You are not disqualified because of weakness. Some of you have been carrying guilt for far too long. You replay old failures. You revisit past decisions. You punish yourself for things I have already called you to release. Listen carefully. Conviction leads toward healing. Condemnation chains people to shame. And shame has been stealing your peace. You think constantly about what you should have done differently. You revisit conversations. You imagine alternate outcomes. You carry regret as though suffering long enough will somehow rewrite the past. If you believe God is working behind the scenes, comment, God is working. But the past cannot be rewritten. It can only be redeemed. And redemption is still possible. Do not misunderstand me. Consequences are real. Lessons matter. Growth requires honesty, but shame is not your permanent home. I did not create you to live imprisoned by yesterday. There are people listening right now who smile publicly while privately carrying deep emotional exhaustion. You feel responsible for everyone. You carry burdens that were never assigned to you. You rescue, fix, and hold together situations beyond your strength. And now you are tired, not physically alone. Spiritually tired, emotionally tired, mentally tired. You keep functioning, but joy feels distant. You keep showing up, but your heart feels heavy. My child, come closer. You were never designed to carry life alone. Some burdens belong to me, yet pride and fear often convince people to carry what grace never asked them to hold. You think surrender means weakness, but surrender is often wisdom. There are prayers you stopped praying because disappointment convinced you they were hopeless. You became cautious with hope. You protected yourself from further pain by expecting less. I understand, pain teaches caution, but pain must not become your master. Because when disappointment controls expectation, people begin settling beneath what I intended. And some of you have been settling for emotional emptiness, settling for spiritual distance, settling for relationships that weaken rather than strengthen, settling for survival while secretly longing for peace. But hear me, I did not call you merely to survive. I called you to walk with me. And walking with me requires courage. Courage to trust again. Courage to obey. Courage to release what feels familiar. Courage to believe healing is still possible. You have mistaken numbness for peace. But numbness is not peace. Avoidance is not peace. Pretending is not peace. Real peace comes from alignment with me, and alignment often requires difficult honesty. This is why I keep calling your attention. Do not ignore this sign. Something is coming, and before what is coming fully arrives, certain things must be addressed. There are habits weakening your spirit. There are compromises draining your peace. There are influences clouding your discernment. I say this with love, not condemnation, because warning is mercy. Many people resist warning because they only want comfort. They want encouragement without correction. They want blessing without surrender. They want answers while avoiding honesty. Share your testimony or something God has already done in your life. But love speaks truth, and truth protects. My child, if I am highlighting something inside your heart, do not run from it. Bring it into my presence. You do not have to heal yourself before approaching me. You come to me as you are. Some of you are fighting private battles no one else knows. Addictions, fear, secret grief, hidden anger, deep loneliness. You became skilled at hiding pain. People see strength while missing the ache beneath it. You fear being misunderstood. You fear appearing weak, and so you remain silent. But silence has become heavy. Hear me carefully. You do not have to impress me. You do not have to perform for me. You do not have to hide from me. I already know. And my invitation remains open. Come closer. There are tears you never allowed yourself to cry. Disappointments you buried. Prayers you stopped mentioning. Dreams you quietly placed aside. You told yourself not to care anymore because caring felt dangerous. But numb hearts struggle to receive healing. And healing is part of what I desire for you. Not superficial healing. Deep healing, the kind that reaches places hidden beneath public strength. The kind that restores trust. The kind that loosens fear. the kind that teaches hearts to breathe again, because what is coming into your life cannot be sustained by wounds left untreated. You are moving toward a season requiring emotional and spiritual maturity, and maturity often grows through refining. This refining has not been easy. I know. You lost things you never expected to lose. You faced misunderstandings. You encountered delays. You experienced betrayal. And some nights felt unbearably lonely. But do not allow suffering to rewrite your identity. You are more than what hurt you. You are more than what disappointed you. You are more than what others failed to understand. Sometimes people reduce themselves to pain. They introduce themselves through wounds. They define life through loss. But pain is not your identity. It is an experience, and experiences change. Your identity remains anchored in something deeper. That is why despair cannot have the final word. Father, your word says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God." Isaiah 41 verse 10. Hold tightly to that truth. Not because life feels easy, but because my presence remains steady. Fear has been speaking loudly recently. Fear about finances. Fear about the future. Fear about relationships. Fear about failure. Fear about whether things will ever improve. Fear loves unanswered questions. And fear grows strongest when people imagine worst-case outcomes before truth speaks. If you stayed until this moment, write Gaudy Day EIS with ME. But my child, fear is not wisdom. Fear predicts disaster before faith sees possibility. Fear magnifies uncertainty until hope feels small. And this is why you must guard your thoughts. Not every thought deserves residence in your mind. Some thoughts require rejection. Some assumptions require correction. Some mental patterns require renewal. You have been rehearsing disaster instead of remembering my faithfulness. Think about how many times you feared outcomes that never happened. Think about how many nights anxiety promised ruin while morning still arrived. Fear made large promises, but truth remained stronger. This does not mean you deny reality. It means you refuse to surrender authority to fear. There are practical decisions ahead, important conversations, necessary boundaries, possible opportunities, and you need clear discernment. Fear clouds discernment. Pride clouds discernment. Bitterness clouds discernment. But peace sharpens it. And peace grows where trust remains. Some of you have been asking me for signs while ignoring the wisdom already placed before you. You ask for confirmation but avoid obedience. You ask for direction but resist stillness. My child, confirmation often follows surrender. If I have already spoken clearly about something, do not delay because certainty feels incomplete. Faith rarely receives every detail in advance. Noah built before rain. Abraham moved before clarity. Trust moved first. And this matters for you now. Because there are decisions approaching. Not every decision will be dramatic. Some will appear ordinary. Yet ordinary decisions often shape extraordinary outcomes. What you tolerate, who you trust, how you respond to pressure, where you place attention, what voice you follow. These things matter. Do not underestimate small choices. Entire seasons can change through repeated daily decisions. That is why I keep speaking to your heart. Wake up spiritually. Pay attention. Become intentional. This is not the season for careless living. This is not the season for drifting. This is not the season for allowing emotions to lead without wisdom. You have sensed urgency because urgency exists. Not panic, but urgency. The urgency of preparation. The urgency of alignment. The urgency of listening carefully. Because something is coming. For some, what is coming will expose truth. Masks will fall. Motives will become clearer. Illusions will weaken. You may discover who truly supports your peace and who only enjoyed your dependence. Before you leave, declare this by faith. My season is changing. Do not fear exposure. Truth may feel uncomfortable, but truth protects. For others, what is coming will be opportunity, a connection, a fresh beginning, an unexpected answer. Do not let fear make you miss what prayer prepared. And for many listening, what is coming is transformation. Not instant perfection, but real movement, real healing, real clarity, real growth. You have asked for change. Now, prepare for the process that change requires. Because transformation often arrives disguised as disruption, and this message is still not finished. My child, I need you to hear this part with careful attention. Transformation is rarely comfortable. People often pray for change while secretly hoping nothing difficult will be required. They ask for new seasons but resist new habits. They ask for healing but avoid the honesty healing demands. They ask for breakthrough but remain attached to the thinking that created bondage. But change that costs nothing usually changes nothing. And this is why your spirit has been restless. You have mistaken restlessness for punishment when sometimes it is invitation. Invitation to grow. Invitation to awaken. Invitation to stop settling. You have felt tension because old patterns can no longer hold the person you are becoming. The place that once fit your life now feels smaller. The mindset that once guided you now feels insufficient. Even your prayers are changing because your spirit is reaching for deeper understanding. Do not be alarmed by this. Growth often feels unfamiliar. The caterpillar does not understand wings while still crawling. The seed cannot imagine the tree while buried underground. And you cannot fully see what I am building while standing inside the middle of the process. But the process is still holy. The process still matters. And what feels uncertain to you is not uncertain to me. I already know the road ahead. I already know the conversations that are coming. I already know the doors that will open and the doors that will close. Nothing surprises me. And because nothing surprises me, you do not need to surrender your peace every time life feels unpredictable. Some of you listening have been carrying secret fear about the future. You fear financial instability. You fear rejection. You fear disappointment. You fear getting your hopes up again. And because fear feels safer than disappointment, you have kept your expectations low. If you believe God brought you here today, write Amen, Amen. You stopped dreaming boldly. You stopped praying specifically. You stopped believing deeply. You told yourself that expecting less would hurt less. But my child, protection built from fear becomes another prison. Fear promises safety while quietly stealing freedom. Fear convinces people to shrink their lives to avoid pain. But shrinking is not healing. Avoiding is not healing. Closing your heart is not healing. Healing requires trust. And trust grows when you remember who walks beside you. You have survived seasons that should have destroyed your hope. Think about that. There were nights you believed you would not recover emotionally. There were days when pressure felt unbearable. There were moments when you questioned your strength. Yet here you are, still breathing, still seeking, still standing. Do not overlook your own survival. You keep calling yourself weak while carrying evidence of endurance. You keep criticizing yourself while forgetting how far grace has already brought you. My child, speak to yourself with more mercy. The voice inside your head matters. Many of you have become your own harshest critic. You magnify mistakes. You minimize progress. You compare yourself to impossible standards. You replay failures but rarely celebrate growth. And this internal war has exhausted you. You assume that being hard on yourself creates discipline. But harshness is not always wisdom. There is a difference between conviction and cruelty. I correct with love. I guide with truth. I restore with mercy. And I am asking you to stop agreeing with voices that only condemn. If this message spoke directly to your heart, comment God is speaking to me. Some of those voices came from old wounds. Some came from criticism, some came from rejection, and some came from painful experiences that taught you to expect disappointment. But wounded voices do not deserve authority over your identity. You are not who pain accused you of being. You are not who failure claimed you were. You are not who fear predicts you will become. My truth still speaks louder. Do not ignore this sign. Something is coming, and before what is coming fully unfolds, there are chains that must loosen. Some chains are obvious, others are invisible. Invisible chains are often the hardest to recognize because they hide beneath familiar patterns. The chain of approval, the chain of insecurity, the chain of resentment, the chain of unforgiveness, the chain of constant overthinking, the chain of people-pleasing, the chain of believing your worth depends upon performance. These chains may not look dramatic, yet they quietly drain peace and distort identity. And many of you have carried them for years. You became so accustomed to them that bondage felt normal. But normal does not always mean healthy. Familiar does not always mean safe. And tolerated pain does not become harmless simply because it has remained for a long time. This is why I am confronting certain things now. Not to shame you, but to free you. Some of you are holding bitterness you never intended to keep. You were hurt, misunderstood, disappointed, abandoned, and your pain was real. Do not think I overlooked it. I saw the betrayal, I saw the rejection, I saw the tears, nobody witnessed. But listen carefully. Pain that is buried does not disappear. It waits, and buried pain often shapes decisions without permission. You became guarded, suspicious, emotionally distant, not because you are cruel ne'er, but because wounded hearts learn survival. I understand that. But survival cannot become your permanent identity, because something is coming. And what is coming cannot be received fully through closed hands and guarded hearts. This does not mean trusting everyone. Wisdom still matters. Boundaries still matter. Discernment still matters. Forgiveness is not permission for continued harm. Forgiveness does not erase wisdom. Forgiveness releases poison from your own spirit. You have carried anger, thinking it punished others, while it quietly exhausted you. Release what bitterness cannot heal. There are names you still speak with pain, memories you still revisit, conversations that continue inside your mind long after they ended, and your spirit is tired. My child, you cannot keep drinking from old sorrow and expect fresh peace. Release it, not because what happened was acceptable, but because your future deserves freedom. Some of you fear letting go because anger feels protective. You believe resentment keeps you safe from further hurt. But resentment often keeps people emotionally tied to what already wounded them. What part of this message touched you the most? Share below. Freedom requires release. And release is not weakness. Release is courage. Father, your word says, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55 verse 22, that invitation still stands. Not some burdens, all burdens. You were never created to carry emotional weight alone. You were never designed to solve every problem through personal strength. And yet, many of you keep trying. You keep holding everything together. You keep smiling through exhaustion. You keep saying, I'm fine, while quietly feeling overwhelmed. But strength without surrender becomes exhaustion. You need rest. Not only physical rest, soul rest, the kind of rest that comes when striving loosens and trust deepens. Many of you have confused busyness with purpose. You stay occupied because slowing down exposes emotions you do not want to face. You fill schedules, scroll endlessly, distract your thoughts, move constantly. Yet exhaustion remains, because distractions cannot heal what only truth can touch. This is why I have been inviting you into stillness. Stillness is not wasted time. Stillness is where clarity often grows, and clarity is necessary now, because something is coming. There are crossroads approaching, not necessarily dramatic crossroads, but meaningful ones. Choices, directions, relationships, opportunities, boundaries, and your discernment matters. Do not make decisions merely to escape discomfort. Discomfort alone does not indicate wrong direction. Sometimes discomfort accompanies growth, and sometimes comfort accompanies stagnation. You must learn the difference. This is why prayer matters, not religious performance, relationship, conversation, honest connection. Some of you only approach me during crisis, but intimacy grows through consistency. Talk with me when life feels ordinary. Talk with me when gratitude fills your heart. Talk with me when confusion remains. Do not treat prayer like emergency oxygen alone. Let it become companionship. You ask for my voice while neglecting my presence. If you are trusting God during a difficult season, write, I trust YOU God. Yet my presence changes perception. You do not always need immediate answers. Sometimes you need nearness first, because nearness strengthens perspective. Perspective changes everything. The same mountain that looks impossible from fear appears climbable through faith. The same delay that looks cruel through impatience appears protective through wisdom. The same closed door that feels painful today may later become evidence of mercy. You see fragments, I see fullness, and I am asking you to trust what you cannot yet fully understand. Some of you feel pressure to prove yourselves, to prove value, to prove success, to prove strength. You fear disappointing people. You fear appearing inadequate. And so you exhaust yourself trying to earn acceptance. My child, listen carefully. Worth is not earned through exhaustion. Love is not earned through performance. And identity cannot be sustained by pretending. The world rewards appearances. But I look deeper. I see the motives beneath actions, the wounds beneath reactions, the fears beneath pride. And still I call you loved. Still I call you closer. Still I refuse to abandon you. Do not let perfectionism steal your peace. Perfectionism disguises itself as excellence while quietly feeding anxiety and self-rejection. You become afraid of mistakes, afraid of judgment, afraid of not measuring up, and fear steals joy from the journey. Excellence honors effort. Perfectionism worships control, and control has become another hidden burden. Some of you are trying to control outcomes because uncertainty frightens you. You overthink every possibility. You rehearse conversations. You anticipate disaster. You cling tightly to plans, but life keeps reminding you of something difficult. Control is limited, and that limitation scares you. Yet hear me. Control is not the source of peace. Trust is. You want guarantees, but faith rarely walks through guarantees. Faith walks through relationship. You do not know every detail ahead, but you know me, and that knowledge matters, because what is approaching is not beyond my authority. Comment your prayer request below so we can pray together. You fear change because you imagine chaos. But not every change carries destruction. Some changes carry deliverance. Some changes carry healing. Some changes carry answered prayers disguised as disruption. Do not reject movement simply because it feels unfamiliar. You prayed for freedom. Freedom sometimes arrives by dismantling what kept you confined. You prayed for peace. Peace sometimes requires boundaries. You prayed for growth. Growth sometimes begins with uncomfortable truth. And truth is approaching. For some, truth will arrive through revelation. For others, through exposure. For others, through conviction. But truth is still mercy. Do not fear what becomes clear. What is hidden cannot remain hidden forever. Motives reveal themselves. Character reveals itself. And seasons eventually reveal what words concealed. You have asked me for discernment. Now prepare to use it. Do not ignore what your spirit has been noticing. Do not silence wisdom because loneliness tempts compromise. Do not explain away repeated warning signs. Pay attention. Some things are becoming clearer for a reason. Some things are becoming clearer for a reason. Some patterns are repeating for a reason. Some discomfort refuses to disappear for a reason. I am not trying to confuse you. I am teaching you to see. And sight requires honesty. My child, you have entered a season where pretending will no longer satisfy your spirit. You are hungry for truth, hungry for meaning, hungry for peace that survives circumstances. That hunger is not weakness, it is invitation, because something is coming, and what is coming will require clearer vision, stronger faith, and deeper trust than before. This message is still unfolding. If you stayed until this moment, write, God is with me,